Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang with Morsels of a Thought number 1664. I'm going to switch gears for a day today. Today it is Wednesday, Words and Wisdom Wednesday. I decided to give Mary, myself, a chance to speak out my political views, um, because I don't really have what I think of as an intelligent view, except for whatever I see that comes to me either through my television or wherever, and words of despair because a friend of mine was deported last week. Um, got grabbed by ICE on the street in San Francisco. The last time I saw him, I hardly even noticed him. I waved. I was talking to somebody else and he was walking, and so I want to say what I want to say about this because it is not a good scene. I have gone through some of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, an illustrated journey, which is the book on the Tao. Props falling, props falling, um, props falling. Jesus Christ. Sorry, don't mean to take the Lord's name in vain. Not that I'm particularly Christian, honestly speaking. Um, I do celebrate many Christian holidays. So I'm a Chinese American. I'm an Asian American. I grew up identifying as a Chinese American kid. I was born in the 60s and I was raised in the 70s in San Francisco. I lived and watched the ERA, which was the Equal Rights Amendment movement. And although it did not pass, there was a cultural change where women were starting to be respected through the workforce, and it was hard for them. I was a very young child, but I could see the struggle and I could hear the frustration in women's conversations, their voices. And I saw the Black Power movement in the little cartoons. It was Rainbow Power. There's this little cartoon comic strip called Rainbow Power. I'm sorry about that sound. I didn't notice it earlier. And I forgot to turn it off, but more sound. More sound. Sorry. And Rainbow Power. And then there was the Black Panther movement. As you can see, I was born in the mid to late 60s, so I wasn't privy to all of the actual, I grew up not particularly knowing who Bob Marley was, but now I do because he passed last week, or no, he didn't pass last week. He passed anyway, I don't know. There are lots of things I don't know. I didn't know who James Dean was when I was in college. When I first got to college, there was a friend with a life-size poster of Dean over her bed. And I said, "Who's that?" And the room looked stricken and looked at me. And I said, "Well, hey, yeah, you're teaching me how to order pizza. So, don't be surprised I don't know everybody." And I didn't even know who Elizabeth Taylor and Marilyn Monroe were by name. I knew their faces and I had heard their names, but I hadn't put the names and faces together yet. So here I am, da-dum, 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 growing up, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It was a free America. I was able to choose my road. I was ostensibly able to go on my own at maybe 15 and ask for early emancipation if I felt like it. I always knew the laws were allowing that. And I knew that when I was 18, I was allowed to move out of my parents' house and be expected to be an emancipated adult. I didn't because I grew up with a background culture, a Chinese American culture. I was struggling between those two cultural extremes. I call them cultural extremes because they share no language tree in common, and so culturally they're almost a separate phenomenon, except for Marco Polo's history between the two worlds on the Silk Road. Um, the Silk Road was actually established before Marco Polo showed up, and Marco Polo's trip was just his trips across it over and back a few times were famous. He was famously imprisoned by the Chinese, and I don't mince words, and I don't wince from speaking about criticisms of the communist Chinese government. My uncle was either pro-communist or non-pro-communist or anti, I don't know which. I never knew because I established my own political view away from my parents. My parents had experiences of war to begin with when they were children. So I have this history, and it's a unique history, and I love America. America is my country. China is not my country anymore. It's the old country, but I don't call it my country. I call it my old country. And not only that, but I have two old countries because I wasn't born on the mainland of China. Taiwan was where I was born. And at that time, the United States recognized Taiwan as the Republic of China, which was a country. I happen to think that the number of votes that are done in the world scene, saying one China policy is just a way to say take away a vote from them. There are two countries. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. It doesn't have any, bearing here nor there with most of my friends in San Francisco. Most of my friends. And here, I'm going to lower the boom on you. I think that the problem today is that we've got a lot of corruption that we didn't see coming, and this momentum was building and building and building and building and building and building. For example, women's choice was being taken away from all of a sudden. No, it wasn't all of a sudden. Morsels of a thought of wisdom today are Mary's politics. This is not because I normally do politics. Morsels of a thought of wisdom is it is my hope that people figure out the right things for themselves to do, and that when we do them, we are committing acts of virtue. Now, I feel that my audience deserves to hear my political view on what's going on because there's so much tumult going on right now. I don't think we should be fighting over women's rights. I think women should have their rights. I don't think we should be forcing women not to have birth control. I think women need to have birth control. Either that or most men have to get vasectomies. This is, I'm a woman, so I will say, okay, hey, you guys do it. You know. I'm not going to get my tubes tied because that's an operation. You guys do, you get your tubes, Meanwhile, I do espouse the rules by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider are all about the biology being different between women and men, and we make it a chase. Yes, that's fun. Yes, it's pleasing for people. Yes, it makes people happy. And it's the right thing to do for a lot of people. It may not be for everybody because it doesn't fit for everybody, but I read it every Tuesday and Thursday, and I do espouse that we are biologically different. And that's nothing about politics, I don't think. But today I needed to say, I don't think it was right that my friend was deported. He was grabbed and given a free ticket back to Georgia, which is a country near Russia. Uh, Georgia, the capital of which is Tbilisi, Tbilisi. So I needed to say this. I guess this was all I really wanted to come out and say, which is that I don't believe that the current regime is a good idea. I really think that he should withdraw. I also think that he's probably not the only one that's calling all the shots. It's possible that he has long ago become not the stable man he once was in history. I remember in the books of the rules, even, he was famous back then. Mr. Trump was. He was famous back then. The authors have said, well, Donald Trump likes the svelte, tall, Eastern European type of woman. Well, that's apparently true. He has had very tall, mostly, well, tall, Caucasian looking women to me. I don't know the difference between Eastern Europe and Western European ethnic groups, honestly. I can tell you, well, I can give you an assessment of whom I might guess is Filipino, Korean, Japanese, Cambodian, Chinese. I might be able to guess that. I might be able to guess that person looks a little Russian compared to the rest of Europe. But in fact, Russia is in Asia, right? Anyway, big headache. So I didn't mean to land you with a headache, but I want everybody to say, hey, this isn't right. Let's write to our congressperson and see if we can't get them to vote a human way. We need to vote a human way. Right now, we're treating people as though they don't deserve to live. And as a matter of fact, there was one bill that was being put out that said, oh, this will cost however many thousands of lives. And then the person that was speaking up for it said, well, we're going to die anyway. What? Um, this is inhumane now. We're talking inhumane. I don't think we have to talk about left and right politics anymore to realize we are now talking humanity and inhumanity. So I needed to say this, and I feel that the deportation of somebody that I know who has always followed the laws, we can argue, oh, look, well, they took money and they wanted to bring it back to their old country. Well, so what? Americans do the same thing. We do the same thing. When we're on the other side of the Pacific Ocean or when we're expats in Europe, don't we do the same thing? We bring the money home and buy a house in the US. So we're earning the money somewhere abroad. I've done it. I haven't bought a house, but I've earned money abroad, and I certainly didn't leave it abroad. Wasn't much money, but I do want to say this is a space for it. So if you're interested in speaking it, it's fine with me. I will take a bunch of input. You can either DM me or you can put it in commentary here if you want to. Now, I want it to be within reason. Within reason, nobody being rude, nobody being really horrible. State your state your hypothesis, mention your axioms, mention your proofs. Your axioms are um, the tenets, tenets, the firmly held beliefs that are the assumptions for your hypothesis. Your hypothesis is your statement, and then your proof consists of your evidence, specific evidence preferably, and then your conclusion is usually drawn from your evidence, not from a prejudice. Okay? So, um, I want people to be able to say something if they need to, where I am. even when I'm talking about the books I read. The books I read are generally for people to understand the right things for themselves to do. Mortgage Mondays are for people to understand the ways of a certain business. Tuesdays and Thursdays are about women dating men. Wednesdays, I often do quotes. Today I'm quoting Mary, and today and Friday, I read. What do I read on Friday? Golly, what's the book I read on Friday? Brain Rescue. Those of us who have hit our heads, those of us who have hit our heads, many of us have. And Saturday, I read Millennial Samurai. And Sunday, I read a coming of age story for a young man who chose a path that was outside of the normal curriculum of high school. It wasn't even a curriculum of high school, it was a separate curriculum entirely. And it was the right thing for him to do. But to know pitfalls, when we read these things, I also want people to understand their pitfalls. So anyway, I don't have very many gems today, and I don't have more than this. I just needed to speak my say, have my say, and that was kind of about all. I'll wait for everybody to come on the replay. Um, I will say good morning to all of you who may or may not want to be named on this show. And thank you for coming and thank you for watching. And I hope that you come and like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, because eventually I think I'm going to need to put more of this on YouTube and less on Facebook, and find another platform to video from. I know that there are a few. I'm in the process of choosing a few now. I do use StreamYard, so I do broadcast across three channels. One is the YouTube at Ying Orange 99, and then there is another one at Facebook, and it's YING.YANG.7535331. And I have House Cat Tracks at on Facebook. HOUSECAT TRACKS. Okay, so that's kind of it for today. It's a short show. I hope that whoever watches this can fill up their time with better commercials, or write down your own parti- part- particular political views. You know, I was very hesitant to come up like this because um, I figured that I could lose a lot of audience members, but I also figured that I could gain some. If you like my shows, please do like and subscribe on YouTube first, and you can watch me from there every morning. The way I do this is when it's broadcasting on YouTube, you go to that channel at Ying Orange 99, all one word, and then you look at view channel. I think you do view channel, and then I think you click on the circle that has my picture photo in it. So you click on that where it says live, you click on that. You press the button over that, and then it should be showing you the live video at that time. Okay, well, please don't be disgusted. Please don't be shocked, and please don't be overwhelmed. This is an overwhelming time. Be safe. Um, Keep your earthquake supplies ready, is my opinion, because I'm in the San Francisco area where we have lots of earthquakes. We do indeed. We have earthquakes every day, but they're, really small on the Richter scale. They're like less than one or something. In fact, I think everybody has earthquakes every day. I think the USGS, US Geological Society, has readings for a lot of different locations, and you can check on earthquake supplies and look up things like that and get canned food, um, water. Um, Assuming you get water and no power, you get flashlights and a wind up radio, things like that. So, and then always keep a gasoline plastic container in the trunk of your car in case you need to get gasoline. And also, um, go to the ATM and or bank and get small bills of cash, because that will be a very helpful thing when electricity is out and you need to conduct transactions that are under $20 each. That way things don't go into chaos and you'll be prepared. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Old Kinderhook.